I'm AP Town, and this is Roleplay Culture. Today we're going back to basics and discussing the different types of actions that we can take in D&D 5e. Now we aren't going to be talking about all the varied things a character can do with their action, nor are we going to be talking about legendary actions. That's a video for another time. No, we are going to be talking about the different types of actions. Actions, reactions, bonus actions, movement, and free actions. We'll start off with the action. In 5th edition, the vast majority of what a character can do will be accomplished with an action. You want to kick down a door? It's an action. You want to cast that fireball? It's an action. You want to convince that succubus to go on a date?
I'll swallow your soul!
Might take a little more doing. Good luck, though. There are a few notes on the action. You get one action per turn, though there are a few ways around this restriction. The haste spell allows the target to take an extra action per turn, amongst other benefits. Though there are some restrictions on what you can use this action for. No casting spells with that action. The fighter's second level ability, Action Surge, allows for the character to take another action during their turn with no restrictions. It cannot be understated how strong an ability that is. Now we come to the reaction. A reaction is a specific type of action taken outside of the normal turn and events. You only get one reaction per turn. Let's be clear. Though a reaction is meant to be played outside of your turn, it can be played during your turn if some circumstance provokes that reaction. Reactions become available at the beginning of your next turn once they are used. Reactions are more limited in what an average character can utilize it for. Attacks of opportunity are in fact the only thing that all characters can universally use a reaction for. Attacks of opportunity are when one individual attempts to exit the threatened area of another without taking the withdraw action. So their action. The first individual gets an attack on the second. And even then, there are some restrictions. You must have a melee weapon in hand, such as a dagger, or the Warcaster feat, where spellcasters are concerned, to even attempt this attack. But there are some other reactions that can be taken under the right circumstances. Certain spells, in fact, are cast with a reaction instead of an action, such as the shield spell. These spells usually have a triggering event, such as with the shield spell, you can cast that spell when you would otherwise be hit by an attack, giving yourself +5 to your AC, potentially turning a hit into a miss. Of course, you must be able to cast spells and have the relevant magic on hand to do any of that. There are some other niche abilities that can be gained from specific sources. A bard's College of Lords cutting words allow you to debuff attack rolls and ability checks with your reaction. There are a few other examples spread throughout the game. When it comes to the bonus action, we find options for this type of action even more limited. If you have the ability, you may take one bonus action on your turn in addition to your action and other things. The only universal ability available to all characters that utilizes the bonus action is dual wielding. As long as both weapons are light weapons, such as daggers, you can use your bonus action to make another attack with your offhand weapon, doing that weapon's damage, but adding no ability score modifier to it. There are some other niche abilities that use your bonus action. Some spells are cast using a bonus action, such as the Cleric's Spiritual Weapon, which allows you to conjure a spectral weapon and attack with it using your bonus action. It's important to remember that if you cast a spell that has a level of 1 to 9 with your bonus action, you cannot cast another spell with your action unless it's a cantrip. The reverse is also true. If you cast a leveled spell with your action, you can cast another spell with your bonus action as long as it is a cantrip. Few though they may be, like a Magic Stone or Shillelagh. There may be some confusion over how a reaction-triggered spell such as Shield interacts with this limitation of casting level spells during your turn. such as if your movement provokes an attack of opportunity. And the short answer is there's no hindrance. Rules as written, a reaction is considered separate from your turn, even if it's done on your turn. So, cast away. Let's move on to movement. Not an action per se, but it is separate from the other actions and abilities, so it's its own thing. You can use any movement mode you have up to their listed speeds as appropriate. You can move through an ally's space or an enemy as long as that enemy is 2 size categories larger or smaller than you. So if you're medium size, which is most of us, they must be huge or bigger or tiny or smaller. Elsewise, you cannot move through that enemy space. In any case, moving through someone's space, if you're able, is difficult terrain, meaning the squares that you move through are 10 feet instead of 5 feet, which is standard. It should also be said that standing up from a prone position takes half your movement, whatever that speed might be. There could be some problems about what happens if you have 2 different speeds with different values, such as if you have a walking speed of 30 feet and a swimming speed of 40 feet. How does that interact? Well, you subtract the first amount of movement used from the second amount of movement you're trying to use. In the above example, if the character walks 30 feet and then jumps into the water, 30 minus 40 equals 10. He would have 10 feet of swimming available. Alternatively, if we replace that swimming speed with 20 feet of climbing speed, the character only walks 20 feet and then needs to climb, he would be short on movement and be unable to continue. It should be noted that you can swim and climb without any special movement speeds. It would just require an ability check, and your DM could deem what you're trying to do impossible, like trying to scale a icy cliff or something. On to what I like to call free actions, which is an older edition term. It's not really used in 5th edition. They're basically activities that are too minor to take up an action, but are still defined as a thing you can do on your turn. For example, shouting communications, drawing your sword, opening an unlocked door. There are some limits, though. If you want to interact with an object, it must be done during your movement or your action, such as drawing your sword and then hitting that angry goblin with it, or simply moving over to an unlocked door and opening it. You only get 1 free object interaction. Anything more will take your action. There are a couple of things to look out for here. When dual-wielding weapons, you have a free interaction to draw your first weapon, but not your second. You would have to use your action to draw your second weapon in the same round. Switching weapons can be tricky too. For instance, if a character is using a bow and then the enemy closes with that character, you might want to switch to your sword. But you can't stow your bow, draw your weapon, and then make an attack all in the same round. You can, however, end your interaction with the bow, i.e. drop it, as you're not really interacting with the object. You're doing the opposite, actually. You can then draw your sword and attack all in one turn. Or you could just hit them with the bow. I'm sure that'll work out fine for you. Well, I think that covers all the basics for actions, reactions, bonus actions, movements, and free actions. If you'd like to explore legendary actions and the like, well, you'll have to subscribe, smash the like button, ring the bell, and leave a comment below. And I'll see you in the parlor.